Hi, everyone. Hi, welcome. Perhaps you could just start by introducing yourselves. Maybe we'll start with the youngest.
So my name is Khairuddin. I graduated from LaSalle, and actually Ian was one of my teachers. I think it was 2014, and I've been doing art ever since.
Cool. Ian graduated from Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Ian Wu, artist, also teaching in LaSalle College of the Arts. And yes, I did graduate my diploma in Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts in 1991.
Mr. Go?
Well, it's amazing. It's already 40 years since I won the Painting of the Year in 1982. So this is really fantastic for another journey that I want to go through. Already 40 years. Can you imagine 40 years? I'm now 84 years old. So I'm sort of very excited to this morning to be able to come for this interview.
I'd like to ask a question that kind of maybe sews up the time from the first prize winner right up to now. And that would be, for you, winning the competition would have been something that was quite important and like a validation of your talents. So perhaps Kai could tell us, when did you decide you wanted to be an artist? How did you know? Mr. Go?
I will speak in Mandarin. 因为在我年轻的时候，在华中的时候，我的导师陈文熙跟钟世斌的指导之下，我就逐渐的成为一个对绘画非常兴趣的画家。后来我到了美国，在62年到66年这个期间，我就学到很多技巧，所以回到新加坡，我就创作一系列的作品。后来我就参加 Painting of the Year。
So Mr. Go was inspired by some mentors and art teachers at the time. Perhaps Kai, you'd like to tell us when you knew?
I think for me it was more like a realization that maybe this is the only thing I'm good at. So, I mean, like ever since I was a kid, I've always been doing art. So, I think after like when you graduate from like secondary school and stuff, you start to think about what you want to do next. And art was the thing that kind of called to me. And I guess, went with my feeling. And
Ian?
Being an artist is not an easy decision. Maybe since Goh Beng Kwan is here, maybe I will cite one example of how when I was a young kid, I happened to look at a magazine or a newspaper, and there was a photograph of him in New York. And I didn't know much about what it's like being an artist, but when I read about him as an artist who makes abstract paintings, which is this really strange thing as a kid, and when I heard about it, I thought this is really, in today's language, it's called cutting edge, but it gave me a bit of a tug in my heart, something quite risky. So that was kind of like one impression that I had, seeing an artist, a Singaporean artist. And then for myself, I think it's pretty much the experience that one afternoon in Nanyang Academy, I was so bored, drawing still lifes every day. So one day there was an art competition. It's called Contemporary Art Competition. I think they did it for one or twice, and it was more like an internal school event. So I did the drawing, I finished the drawing, and I was very excited about it actually. I kind of improvised and made this drawing, and I put it for the competition. And then I got the first prize. So I saw this as a kind of sign, that perhaps the path is
okay. Hints, if
Yeah.
you like, that you were going to become an artist, or you thought that this is something that you really wanted to do. Maybe that can kind of segue into the next question, which is something like, obviously the last couple of years, last year in particular, has been very, very challenging for artists. How do you think, we'll start with Mr. Go, how do you think the pandemic, with the COVID, has changed or affected your practice?
这个是我觉得非常，在我一生里面所碰到的最危险也是最挑战性的。但是我觉得在这个疫情里面，我还是能够，因为我的画画的感受，我感受的东西我就能够画出来，所以在这个疫情里面感受很深，所以我觉得是一个很好的时间来创作，因为我很喜欢旅行，我很喜欢到东南亚这个全世界去旅行，所以这个时候我就没有办法出国了，所以在这个时候呢，正好给我一个时间，在我自己的国家，在我们发生的周围里面，把这个情绪表现在我的作品里面，我觉得是一个机缘呐，就是我一个机缘来创作。
Okay, so without the benefit of travel, he was able to kind of well, he felt that COVID, and perhaps you all identify with this, created like a greater intensity of emotions to some extent, and to be able to express that as what most artists do, like their deepest feelings into their art making. For him, this was an opportunity to kind of like take stock of Singapore locally and to bring out the deepest and most intense expressions. What about you, Kai?
During COVID, I wasn't able to get into my studio during the lockdown. So I was just at home. And I think the challenge was how I want to practice, still practice, but at home. So I don't really have a lot of space at home. So space is an issue for me. And that's when I kind of got into like digital mediums of art. So I started to create work that was digital. So that was a way for me to kind of deal with what was happening around here.
Wow. So we move from that note, we move on to the painter, Ian.
It allowed me that time to reflect also. I did a lot of cooking, at home. So I tried to make the best out of it in that situation. I think it can be very easily, sometimes we can shift into the negative. But I just want to encourage everyone, that, especially artists, that perhaps the way I think about the COVID is a time for us to take stock, like what Goh Beng Kwan was talking about. And I think we have to continue making. We have to continue making in the hope that one day, when the gates are open, we can present the work to the world.
That's very enlightening for me. Thank you. Okay, so picking up on what Kai was talking about, which is digital, right? I think that this being a Painting of the Year competition, maybe one question to ask is, in this new landscape where everyone is talking about, online communication, cross-border communication through the internet, and of course using digital means, do you think, maybe we start with Mr. Goh, do you think digital has changed or will change the way you practice your art?
个人觉得，身为一个画家，我们一定要有一个很好的 foundation 开始。怎么样在这个整个世界的科技的发展，我们掌握了基础，然后利用现代的科技来创作 Internet 网上，还有很多科技一直过来的，这个是日新月异的。我们好像我们的整个社会啊，已经是你如果没有跟进的话，你就不能够跟这个社会脱节。所以作为一个画家，像那么年轻的，我觉得很好的，在这个科技方面 ，Internet 网上、手机各种各样的可能性都是非常不像我们那时候的年轻的时候。你看拉画现在发展到这么精彩，这么多的画家一直辈出，就是因为有很好的科技的带动。所以我相信，在新的一代会比我们这个第二代的发展的更精彩，觉得。
He was just saying that, well, in summary, just because he referenced you, Kai, talking about the younger generation and how we need to follow the ways of the world, that there's a lot of exciting things that are going on, you know, new inspirations, new influences in the digital world, handphone, internet, and so on. So his idea is more along the lines of, with his practice, he is inspired. He is able to find new ideas, new materials, and actually, which is very much the same as when you practiced before, because you use a lot of different materials, mixed media, and so on. So it's not just like a one type of material that he uses, and he finds it very exciting and very inspiring. So maybe we could, with that, can ask you what you think about, because you mentioned you worked on digital artworks. Do you think that that's something you're going to continue doing, or do you think, or has it changed the way you looked at your own personal painting practice or drawing practice?
It's actually become like a very important part of my process. So like I use like the iPad to paint on first. So sometimes like you're out or you want to like record an idea, and with a digital tool, it's very instant.
Oh, you mean like a stylus on a
Yeah, a stylus. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm still painting, but just digitally.
Different process.
Yeah. Different process.
Okay. Ian?
I mean, interestingly, I just had a show that opened on Saturday, and I was showing 30 digital prints. And in a similar fashion, before the COVID, I really started using this my phone to draw, and it was mostly to get something quite quick done, especially when I'm traveling outside, I'm waiting. So it allowed me to sort of like practice with my hands on a screen. And I found it very fascinating, that because it's not tactile, it's a very different kind of,
yes.
And you feel a bit distant from what appeared. So that's, that's really exciting for me. It's not for everyone. And I'm not sure whether how much of the digital will inform my real paintings yet. I still love the slowness of making physical work.
I really agree with you, because I think that space, as you mentioned, space is quite important, because in the virtual world, space is like a little bit compressed. Although when you pointed out, okay, there's a bit of distance, it's compressed, but it's also like alien. Whereas in real life, space is actually all around you, and it's very, you feel it, and it's, you know, it has a character.
Yeah, and also time also, because, you know, there's so many things where all from different globally, everybody meets at the same time.
Yeah.
And then of course that also has its own challenges.
Yeah.
So that is good and bad in that sense.
Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't we wrap up by asking this particular question, which might be a hard one to answer. How has although Mr. Goh has kind of answered it, but how has winning the POI changed your life?
Well, my lifestyle, as I say, 山穷水尽疑无路，柳暗花明又一村.
Wow.
So my lifestyle is like that. So being an artist, I feel that after winning this prize is a recognition for me.
Yes.
And have a good opportunity to 再把我的画一直提升得更好，所以是一个机缘啦，可以说是一个机缘。对我来讲是一个很好的发展的机会。
Kai, maybe you wanna, being the youngest, and do you have the same feelings, or is it a little bit different for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like if you win like a major prize like UOB Painting of the Year, it's like there's a validation and also like this kind of encouragement and obviously support to get better at what you do. So for me, it basically encouraged me to pursue art. Like I gave more time to art than I did other thing else. So I think that was what changed for me, like being able to focus more on my art.
Yeah. It's also a question of trust, right? Because in the beginning you said, oh, how did I discover if I wanted to be an artist?
Yeah, exactly.
That this is the only thing you did well, but you know, kudos, because you're doing it really well, right?
Yeah. So it's like, okay, like I'm actually not bad.
Yes. No, it's really good. Not just not bad. Ian?
Yeah, I think the UOB is a significant moment in time when an artist wins that. Of course, for different generations, the environment was very different. And how it allows you to, of course, the art world suddenly notices you. I remember for myself in 1999 when I won, then consecutively in the year 2000, I won the Philip Morris. So it was like, it was actually quite strange for me because I didn't know how to deal with it, and nobody taught me. Nobody teaches you how to deal when you win a prize, And you ask yourself, why me, But the only thing you can do is to embrace it, do shows, because not all the time you will win prizes like that, because you also need to find different ways to invent yourself after the prize is being won.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so it's more like it gave you a moment to kind of reflect, and then perhaps from there maybe create new opportunities as well.
Yeah.
Because I think that's great actually. Yeah.
Well, winning a prize is, you also need to learn how to adapt as how to be a winner. How do you behave as a winner?
Yeah.
Which is difficult.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think I want to thank all of you for participating and sharing. Lots of things to think about actually. It's always good to end on a note where you're thinking and you're asking questions. Thank you very much. Thank you.